Hey everyone, welcome back to Breakthrough, a Dale Carnegie podcast. My name is Faith Wright, and today we have an amazing guest that I have had the pleasure of getting to know over the past month or two. We've seen each other at a couple of events, which has been super fun around the Raleigh area. And the thing that actually captivated me to talk to him in the first place was this amazing platform that he is co-founding called Shipp. And what stuck out to me about this was that it is basically a dating app where you match with those nearby. And if you both accept, you can walk towards each other and have a first conversation face to face, which is pretty unique in today's age. And at Dale Carnegie Training, we really love face-to-face interaction, as anyone knows, that has been through our programs. That's just something that's near and dear to us. And so whenever I saw Jerush and what he was up to, I thought, man, this would be a great way to collaborate and to just elevate him and host him here, as we both have similar values when it comes to building relationships and just that face-to-face interaction. So thank you, Jerush, for being here on the podcast today. Would you mind sharing just a little bit about maybe the past few years? Like, give us a synopsis of, I know you're an NC State grad, maybe start there in your time at college and walk us through kind of where you are today.
Yeah, thank you, Faith, for first having me on the podcast and the very kind introduction. And yeah, I could give you the long story of how we got here. So originally when I entered into NC State, I was not even doing anything startup or engineering related. I was actually in pre-med or in the pre-med track trying to become a doctor. So at the time, like out of high school, the high school I went to was very medically focused. So I got my EMT license and became a medical assistant. So I was working like freshman, sophomore year as a medical assistant, learning more about the medical field. And kind of like through this whole time, I was kind of feeling that I wasn't on the right track. Like I wasn't as passionate. There was something else meant for me. And also while doing like the whole pre-med classes, I decided to take some engineering classes because that was another interest of mine. And I soon kind of realized that towards like sophomore year, once I was in the thick of engineering classes, I was just more passionate about it. And so I kind of knew in the back of my head that I kind of wanted to focus on that more. But then the pandemic hit, and this kind of threw plans all over the place a little bit. So I continue working as a medical assistant and still did engineering. But kind of at this time, I kind of wanted to focus on different projects and stuff like engineering related, just problem solving. And so originally started off like with COVID data, just trying to figure out, oh, can we figure out if someone had COVID or not? And this kind of then transformed to one of our early startup ideas, which was related to fashion. Pretty much creating an AI fashion stylist to learn what your closet had, what you wear in your closet, and then this AI assistant would tell you what you should wear and what clothes you should purchase to build your closet. And with this kind of idea, I kind of recruited one of my friends that I met through freshman orientation. And he is a fashion major and was very interested in the idea. And we both started working on it. And he invited his friend, his childhood friend from Philly, to also help work on the idea. And he was more technical person since he was majoring in CS. So all of us were working on this startup or our first startup idea. And
Can I just say that you recruiting people with other talents and skill sets is genius, because you yourself, none of us can have everything, right? And do it all. So
yes.
that was awesome to see, like, okay, and then we need a technical person here and someone who's in fashion here, right? So just utilizing your resources, right?
Exactly. Yeah, could not have done it alone at all.
Yeah.
Even though I tried learning all that, they were domain experts in that, or at least were going to be domain
Yeah.
experts. So yeah, pretty much we were working on that. Since we kind of learned through the whole process of, well, how to even form an idea in a startup, of what works, what doesn't work. And eventually we kind of had to pivot away from it, the original concept, because there wasn't as much interest as we thought there was going to be. And then we kind of did this like peer-to-peer rental idea. Um, but we were starting to see that wasn't the right path as well. And when my technical founder came down to visit from Philly, we just ended up talking about our dating lives, and we soon realized that we had the same frustrations of that we would go on first dates and like we did the whole online chatting, but once we met face to face and started talking, we realized we didn't click as well as we thought we did. And that kind of led to the inspiration of Shipp, and to just kind of going away from all that superficial and online chatting, just to the main part of dating, right? Just talking to them face to face to see if you click or not. So kind of going away from those frustrations.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's cool because you saw that personal problem that you had and you were like, man, I'm sure other people are feeling this too, right? And then developing a solution to that. You are,
Yeah.
in fact, a problem solver. And this is an example, a prime example. So, what has it been like developing Shipp, doing the customer discovery, learning in this kind of brand new stage that you're entering into? Can you share your experience with that?
Yeah. So we went through the whole customer discovery. Pretty much from every interview we've had, we've learned something new, right? There's a new key detail that we haven't thought of before. So kind of, even though we knew it was going to be something uh face to face and in person, the kind of like the idea and the product has changed a little bit over the couple months. And just even developing the product in the first place is a lot more difficult than it seems. There's a lot of moving parts to it for sure. And if my technical founder was on here, he would tell you a lot about that. Uh, we did do a first like alpha launch on State's campus, and that did not pan out as well as we thought. There was so many technical issues that we had to kind of pull it back to resolve those issues to relaunch
Hmm.
back in August of this year.
Okay. And how did that relaunch go?
Much better than the first time.
Nice.
uh yeah, we instantly, like, well, we got a lot of users. We have like over 200 users now. And we've seen people use the or get the app and have actual genuine interests, and like the unique take that we're taking, and think it's a much better way to meet people.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, there's something so unique about this app because it's different from all the other ones, right? You just skip the superficial phase of chatting online, maybe never seeing that person in person, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Live. And I'm curious, where did that value come from for you to spark human interaction live, like face to face?
Yeah. I think it kind of came from just from friends. Like whenever we have conversations with my friends, like I don't like texting, so I tell them, like, if you want to do something, let's just like meet up and just,
Yeah.
either go out, have food, or just do something. So just like the IRL component, or just being face to face, is just a much better experience. So that kind of that underlying principle that I've had, like my co-founder, help guide to the vision of Shipp for sure. And just, there's people that I've met off of dating apps that a much better experience compared to those that I've met on dating apps.
Yeah, absolutely. And some people are bad texters, or like you don't get to know like the personality of
Yeah.
someone over just chatting online. And so experiencing them like in the flesh, face to face, you just get to know who they are quicker. I feel like, and more authentically
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah,
on.
absolutely. Yeah, you
So
can like see those social cues, right? That you
yeah,
can't see online.
exactly. Yeah. What about with COVID? I'm interested to hear, what are you seeing now post pandemic with the communication interactions of college students today? Maybe have you seen like a shift because of the pandemic, or is it about the same communication wise, would you say?
There's definitely a shift, but uh and yeah, there's definitely a shift, but I'm not 100% sure what it is exactly. And this is kind of from just me tabling on campus for a couple weeks that you can kind of tell when someone's a freshman versus not a freshman. Uh, and
I
yeah,
want I want to know, what is it? You got to
what's the difference?
out them here.
Well, I mean, the difference I would say is kind of like the conversation. If they're a little bit older, uh, like juniors or seniors, they're more willing to like just well, it's an easier conversation to have with them, and they better understand the frustrations, especially with the dating stuff. But if they're just fresh out of high school, everything is new,
Yeah.
so they're willing to explore and try new things, which is a good thing. At least they're exploring. But there's definitely some that probably haven't met them, or they just like go by without saying anything. So like very antisocial.
Okay. Okay. So you're saying maybe people sway away from communicating that are younger, more like the freshmen than you see in the seniors, maybe on campus.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Hmm. Um, I'm also curious to hear, Jerush, what was your kind of breakthrough moment, personally or professionally, as you've been starting Shipp?
I think the breakthrough moment was for us is that kind of that pivot we had, uh, where kind of going from the fashion startup ideas to the dating, just to the more IRL concept that there's so much more potential and there was so much more interest in that product. And I mean, that kind of led me to, because during that time it was senior year, uh, or sorry, start of grad school, my first year PhD. And from just talking to more people and just telling people about our idea and getting users, it seemed more promising. And so that kind of led me to leave grad school and to just focus on the startup full time. And so that kind of gut feeling I had that we're onto something was our breakthrough of there's something here that we need to see what happens.
Amazing. I'm glad that you followed that gut feeling. Some people don't, right? And they have maybe this inkling that they've been feeling for a while. And I don't know how you would describe it, maybe like just this knowing that you were meant to do something different. But what was other people's reaction whenever you said, "Hey, I'm gonna stop grad school and pursue this dating app"? What were people's
Yeah, a lot of a range of reactions for sure. It was very difficult to convince my parents first off, so that was took a year just to figure that out. But yeah, there's a lot of people that were supportive. A lot of those were just trying to be in my best interest and telling me to finish at least part of the PhD program and just leaving with the master's. But overwhelmingly, it was supportive in my endeavors to at least see this through.
Yeah. What was kind of the the breakthrough around, I guess, determining that you can pivot and do your own thing, no matter what other people say? Like, how did you get that confidence to continue on in doing you, um,
Yeah,
despite maybe the lack of support from some people, or maybe the discouraging words from others? How, like, because other people that are listening to this podcast might be thinking, man, like, I'm actually not happy in the degree that I'm at, and I want to do something different, but I'm nervous about what other people will think, you know?
Yeah, that's true because I've done it already twice now with leaving the pre-med to engineering, the engineering to now the startup. So at least from each time I've done it, I've learned things that I should do. Um, I guess the first one is just being open to talking about like that you're thinking about that something is just not, it's not like your true passion. You're seeing like some sort of distaste or there's something else that's pulling you to a different direction. First, like admitting that and just talking about it with your friends and family, that's a good first step. But at least the leap of faith that I've taken the two times, it's it was just a gut feeling, honestly. That's my gut has been pulling me for both of those decisions, but at least for the second time, uh, the reason that I left the grad school just to go on a startup was, well, I'm still young. I have time to, if I want to go back to the school, I can still do that. And I don't have as much responsibilities as like, I don't have kids or anything. So that was another factor that right now is probably a good time to try it out and see what happens.
Mhm.
Um, and kind of that you just have to try and see what happens. Definitely trying to do both grad school and the startup. um there was a point that I kind of felt like I couldn't do both, right? And that's why I did go full time on the startup. um and yeah, just really talking to other people, just users who like your product, that kind of motivation that they really want to see it succeed and want to use it, that definitely motivated me further to pursue it.
Awesome. Awesome. And what advice, I guess, would you give to Gen Z and when it comes to uh the world that we live in today, post pandemic? Maybe in terms of dating and communication, what's one piece of advice that you would give to Gen Z?
I would say don't be afraid to talk to someone. Just go talk to anyone around you randomly. Like I've definitely gone to coffee shops and sat with strangers and started a conversation with them. And I've met amazing people just doing that. It seems very nerve-wracking at first, but everyone is nervous, but everyone also likes talking to people. And I've yet to have like someone say no to just wanting to talk. So I would say that just like, just sit down at a coffee shop with a stranger and just start chatting about anything.
That's a good challenge for people that are listening. Go to a coffee shop, just strike up a conversation. What's like a good icebreaker? Because like normally the first like words are the hardest whenever you're
Yeah.
talking to a stranger. So what would you say is a good like icebreaker? Do you ask a question? Do you comment on something in the coffee shop? What's been your experience
Yeah.
that's worked?
Well, fortunately, the coffee shops that I go to, people are working on something. So I just start with that, like, what are you working on? And
Yeah.
then and then you kind of learn what they're doing, maybe their career and whatnot. And then you can just start a whole conversation from that. And then you can say, oh, where'd you go to school and whatnot. So I think that's a pretty easy way to start the conversation at a coffee shop.
Love it. That's such a good idea. And then what advice would you give to educators and parents of Gen Z today?
I would say support your kids, or support them, and push them to, explore their passions and push them to explore new things.
So good. Now I guess as we wrap up here, I just really want to know like what the future holds for Shipp as you look down the line, maybe in the next 3 to 5 years. What are some goals that you guys have? What is kind of the vision that you see your guys self living into as you develop Shipp?
Yeah, so we know that one frustration that Gen Z and pretty much a lot of people have is just making friends. So we want to go into kind of doing what Ship is and having those in real life moments to just everyone meeting new friends and, cities, maybe on going on vacation or just like, taking a stroll down the park. That's one of our vision is just to go expand beyond dating to just making friends. And that's pretty much our biggest vision, is just going into the friends.
Yeah, expanding so that everyone, not just those who are in the dating pool, right? Because
Mhm.
I mean, it's a large amount, but you're also excluding a lot of the other population, right? And maybe
Yeah.
married people want to use the app to develop new friends, or people that are just in serious relationships want to gain friendships as well. So I love that vision. And having a vision is helps us propel into the future, right? And like keeps us motivated, maybe in the challenging times, maybe in the trials that come up in the building.
Yeah.
If you can keep your eye on that vision, 3 to 5 years down the line, hopefully it can ignite you to keep going and build resilience. What has been like the most difficult thing with working with other founders, like being a co-founder? Because I've met a lot of solopreneurs, but maybe not as much working with other people's from the get-go.
Mhm.
So as we close out here, what's just like the biggest benefit that you've seen, and also a challenge with working with co-founders?
Yeah. Well, I'll start with the challenge because ours is a little bit unique my technical founder, he's in Philly. And we have two developers that are also helping out, and they're in different states. One is Texas and the other's in Maryland. So our whole team is just remote.
Yeah,
And it's very difficult it is difficult to communicate, but we're doing like a decent job with that. But then like our schedules, right, don't align exactly, and meeting consistently and, resolving issues is a little bit of a challenge, but fortunately we have a group chat that we're active on, so that if an issue arises, we can resolve it relatively quickly. But that the geographical location with us being remote has been a big challenge for us. But on the other side, the benefit of having kind of a diverse team in both location and just skill type is that you get a lot of new ideas and like different viewpoints on how to resolve issues, which has been a very strong point in our team. And it's like rapidly iterating on new versions of our app.
totally. Well, if people want to connect with you, Jerush, this is an awesome conversation. I can tell that a lot of our listeners will be interested in potentially connecting with you or checking out Shipp. How do they do that? How do they get involved?
Yeah, for sure. If you want to connect with me, you can definitely find me on LinkedIn. I think it's Jerush-Christopher. And you can also learn more about Shipp by searching us at www.joinship.com, and Shipp with two P's.
That's
Um,
important.
yes, it is important. And we're available on iOS right now as well. And you can join our wait list on our website.
Wonderful. Well, this was an awesome conversation. For those of you that haven't subscribed to the Breakthrough podcast, go ahead and hit subscribe so that you get a notification for when we roll out a new podcast every other Wednesday. So you can be sure that you'll receive new podcast episodes alerts. And Jerush, thanks so much again for having this conversation and just being a great guest and new friend of mine. And we will see you guys on the next episode. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much.